Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Katerina, or Kat if you're new here, and it has been a minute since I have done a video last, and that was definitely not my intention. I actually had quite a few videos planned and partially recorded, and then lots of things happened between the end of August, beginning of September, all the way up until the day that my daughter was born. And by the title of this video, I'm going to be telling you the birth story of our beautiful baby girl. And let me tell you, it is definitely a wild ride, and of course everything that I do now is on a timeline. Literally trying to get as much as I can in between feedings and naps is absolutely crazy. This story is definitely a long one, however I'm going to condense it as much as I can. Start off with, baby girl was born October 8th. It was almost a month and a few days earlier than what she should have come. And so to start off the story, we're going to start with my third trimester and the pregnancy complications that started in my third trimester. Now, I am going to say I am so utterly grateful for having a very easy first and second trimester. If you haven't seen my pregnancy announcement / first trimester video, definitely go watch it, because there I talk about how little of symptoms I had, and going into my second trimester, I had a very easy second trimester. And honestly thought that going into my third trimester, I would see the same. I figured that, with an easy first and second trimester, my third trimester wouldn't be too out of the ordinary. Boy, was I wrong. So when 28 weeks of pregnancy came around, I ended up going into the doctor for a routine ultrasound, and the first thing that kind of started this long list of complications was they noticed that my daughter's umbilical cord was hypocoiled, meaning it was uncoiled in certain areas. And they really didn't know what that would mean for her health. There's very little studies out there on hypocoiled umbilical cords. So the plan was, just going forward, I'd have a weekly ultrasound just to make sure everything was good. And then a week later, at 29 weeks pregnant, I started having this very silly symptom, but something that now I caution women to definitely go and get checked out. I noticed I was having really itchy hands and feet, especially at night. Now, this wasn't something that was new to me. I experienced this before pregnancy, but it was very extreme, to the point where I was bleeding in my hands because I was itching so bad. I ended up messaging my doctor and saying, hey, is there any, creams that I can use for this? And instead of giving me remedies, she ended up having me go into the hospital for some blood work. And within 24 hours, I was called back by my doctor and to let me know that I was being diagnosed with something called cholestasis of pregnancy. Something I've never heard of, something my family hasn't heard of, something that when I started looking it up online is actually kind of serious. It's something that you are not able to go to 40 weeks pregnant with. You are having to be induced. Cholestasis of pregnancy is when you have all these pregnancy hormones going through your body, but your liver doesn't really know what to do with those pregnancy hormones. And so instead of functioning correctly, it kind of starts to shut down. It's not processing the bile in your liver correctly anymore. And that's when you kind of start to see signs of itchy hands and feet, potentially jaundice, because I was starting to look slightly jaundice. And also that bile level can start to affect the placenta, which is the reason why they do induce you earlier than 40 weeks. There is that risk of stillbirth with cholestasis. With the cholestasis of pregnancy, you are put on, at least in my hospital, you are put on bi-weekly blood draws as well as bi-weekly ultrasounds and NSTs. And an NST is when they strap you to a monitor to watch your contractions as well as baby's heartbeat. Then a week later, at 30 weeks pregnant, I ended up going in, doing a urine test because I was having bathroom issues, and I came back with a UTI infection, or at least the signs of a UTI infection, and they put me on antibiotics right away, thinking that that would help. There's quite a few complications with my third trimester, but nothing that wasn't unmanageable with medication and just watching really closely. So very crazy third trimester. Started off absolutely insane. We just kind of were planning for an earlier baby, and hoping for the best with these different diagnoses. Now going into the next lovely part of the story, and that is I went into preterm labor at 33 weeks pregnant, and the reason why We still don't know. I do have a lot of footage of when I went into labor at 33 weeks, so I am going to let that footage explain what happened. So it's September 24th and it's almost 2 in the morning. And earlier today I went in for some potential Braxton Hicks that are actually showing contractions. And I was 1 centimeter dilated, and they just sent me home and said, you know, keep an eye on it. I'm 33 weeks, almost 34 weeks in 2 days. And I started having more cramping as the day went on. And so I thought, you know, why not get it checked out? And at 8 p.m. I went to my hospital and got it checked out, and I was dilated to a 3.5. So they ended up shipping me to a hospital about an hour away because our hospital doesn't have a NICU. And so we're here, and I'm already dilated now to a 5.5. So yeah, I guess unfortunately baby girl decided that she's making her debut an entire month and many days early. So we'll just see what happens. But yeah, that is where we're at right now, and I am doing the best that I can. So it is September 26th, and so it's the next day. It's about 9:30, almost 10 o'clock at night. Obviously, as you can see, baby girl is still in the belly. They're not doing anything to like slow my contractions or anything like that. However, my contractions did stall out at 6 centimeters at about 4:30 this morning, and most of the day I had very little contractions, and then now they've restarted again, and they're about 10 minutes apart. Not doing anything to stop labor, nor are they doing anything to encourage labor. They're trying to slow it down through like IVs and all of that, but they're kind of like waiting to do a lot of decisions based off of like me getting to 34 weeks. So it is now September 28th, and as you can see, definitely still pregnant. I ended up stalling out at 6 centimeters dilated and haven't changed since then. It's been about a day and a half since I've dilated any further. The plan is that if I don't dilate further, I will be discharged Monday to go home. I will be on like strict bed rest and not really allowed to like exercise or do anything. I can walk slightly. Today they want me to like, you know, do what I would normally do at home to see, okay, if I'm walking and moving around like I would at home, what's going to happen. So I'm gonna go down and get a coffee from the Starbucks that they have here at the hospital. Baby girl is doing really well. Like she's doing very well. She's oblivious to what my body's trying to do. I've had like some like waves of contractions, but they're not progressing contractions, and because I'm now 34 weeks, they're still not going to induce me or do anything like that. It's been such a crazy few days. I'm tired because like my body's like going through these waves and I get really exhausted, and then we're now here. 34 weeks is a little too early for baby girl to come, so hopefully she'll stay in at least another week. The doctors, I've asked them like, you know, okay, now that if you send me home and I'm 6 centimeters dilated, when do you think she'll actually come? Most of them are saying probably in the next week or so. So yeah, that happened. Went into labor at 33 weeks and stalled out at 6.5 centimeters dilated and was sent home at 6.5 centimeters dilated. When I asked the doctors if that was common, I was told it is not common, as well as the fact that there is a risk of infection when you are that dilated. My doctors at home were absolutely shocked that these doctors in the city would allow me to go home. So I was sent home October 1st, and October 2nd, I had to go in for a checkup with my hometown doctors. And unfortunately, on October 2nd, I went in for an ultrasound and baby girl did not pass it, meaning she didn't pass moving, she didn't pass breathing, nor did she pass any big movements. And because our hospital was full, they didn't feel comfortable with sending me home, so they sent me to another hospital 2 hours from home. And this time at least we got to drive, but we were sent with the thought process that I would be induced at 34 weeks pregnant. They sent me to a hospital thinking I'd be induced, but I wasn't. I was sent to that hospital. These doctors there said they weren't going to induce me because there was no indication for induction, risk high enough for me to be induced at 34 weeks. But they did do another ultrasound and baby girl did pass within 15 minutes. And so me and my husband were left really frustrated. We didn't know what was going on. We were being told multiple different stories, multiple different diagnoses. The only thing that everyone could agree on was that I was 6.5 centimeters dilated and that I probably wouldn't be pregnant for much longer. So on October 3rd, after being in the hospital for another 24 hours, I was sent home again. So that pretty much ends my preterm labor part of this birth story. And so this leads me now into my next part of the story, which is her actual birth story. So I was lucky because on October 5th, I did get to go to my baby shower, which honestly wasn't in the cards for me because I was in a hospital for almost 10 days straight. And I honestly didn't think that I was going to make it to my baby shower. And then October 7th happened and went in for my normal every other day hospital appointment for an ultrasound and NST and blood draws. And unfortunately, my cholestasis skyrocketed to a very high level. They ended up coming back with I had a severe kidney infection. Baby girl passed her ultrasound, but when they put me on the NST, I was showing contractions again. And I was showing that her heart rate was skyrocketing to like 190, almost 200. The nurses didn't want to send me home because there wasn't a doctor to actually watch me because all of the OBs were in OR at the time. My doctor finally came in after 4 hours and told me that because of the kidney infection, because the cholestasis was so high, and because I was showing contractions again, on top of her heart rates were spiking so much, and it wasn't movement spikes. And my doctor said, nope, you can't be pregnant anymore. Your body is not functioning well. She's, we just don't want to risk her anymore. It seems like she'll be better outside of the womb than inside of it. At 35 weeks and a few days, I was induced at 4 p.m. At 5 p.m., I decided to get the epidural because why not? I was already at 6.5 centimeters dilated. And so on October 8th at 7 a.m., I was given the go-ahead to start pushing, and I pushed for about an hour, and baby girl came into this world screaming her lungs out. She was doing so well that I was able to actually hold her. I did get to cut the umbilical cord, which I am so grateful for, before she was whisked away by the NICU specialist. And so yeah, October 8th was when baby girl was born. So that was the birth of our baby girl. It wasn't anything very dramatic, very laid back, very relaxed. I had a wonderful support system with my doctors and my husband, and I couldn't be more grateful for the birth experience that I had, even though it was at 35 weeks pregnant. Which now leads me into the last kind of little piece of her birth story, and that is the NICU journey. And let me just say that the NICU journey was a lot harder than the laboring. I don't know how I can explain it, but having a baby early and having her strapped to machines the first 3 weeks of her life and not being able to experience a normal postpartum experience was really hard on me mentally and very hard on me physically. And so baby girl was in the NICU for almost 3 weeks. She was on oxygen for the first 48 hours of her life, on an IV for the first week of her life, and then it was gavage feeding, meaning she had a tube in her nose for almost 2.5 weeks of her life. A lot of ups and a lot of downs, with a lot of steps forward, a lot of steps back, a lot of tears on my end, especially because when you have a baby in a NICU, the first person you blame is yourself. You wonder what you did wrong. You wonder why your body failed your baby. But after 3 weeks, she was able to come home, and having her home was about the biggest blessing that we could have ever asked for. That is my crazy birth story, and I won't be sharing her name just for privacy reasons, just, keeping her obviously safe from the internet and everything like that. I probably won't show her face at any point just because, that's privacy. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. It is a different video than what I normally do. Leave any comments down below, and also make sure to subscribe to my channel. Most of my videos won't be like this. Obviously, I will get back into posting more of my bookish lifestyle videos, but until then, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!